welcome
Hey, what's
everybody.
up, Asaf?
Woo, we are okay. We are back in the spaceship. We are entering the great transition. This
We're
is
in it.
yeah, we are in the great transition. We are welcoming ourselves into the great transition every time here. We should say happy holiday to those in the US celebrating Thanksgiving. You are in the US, Seth. Are you celebrating Thanksgiving?
Um, I so the latest update, my mom's gonna drive by. She's gonna get out of the car, drop some
Uh-huh.
food, maybe on the driveway, and then keep going to my brother's house. My sister did come. She's got a mask on. I
Mhm.
think the kids and I
So,
were prepared a turkey, put the turkey in the oven this morning. So we're kind of doing it, although it's not really
mm,
happening. There's no usually we have like a big, a lot of people over and um, it's like a nice, warm family time,
such a
typically.
such a weird thing, huh? Like a
Hmm.
weird COVID infused holiday situation. Like,
Yeah, the main thing that I don't know if you know this, but it's the number one travel day in the United
right,
States. Like
right.
more money, more people. It's like all kind of movies about it, comedies about people getting stranded in the airport and stuff. It's like the number one travel day. So yeah, so many things, so many different traditions, so many different just these kind of iconic moments. Okay, the day to day life changed, but these kind of iconic moments changed too. Probably also like Christmas. I don't know. Christmas is like a super iconic thing in America,
Of
but I
course.
think when it comes this year, also not just because of the travel, but just because of this life. Like it's like, what could somebody give me? Like it's an extra toy, it's an extra something. These kind of iconic these things that have been these iconic pillars for us that just don't seem to have the same kind of
Effect.
gravitas. In fact, when someone it even feels strange. I know it still does for many people, for sure. Um, but when people were saying things to me during the week, like happy holiday and things like that,
Yeah.
it like almost was like, wait, we still do that? Like we still,
Hmm.
yeah. I know
Yeah,
it's still
it's
important to a
weird.
lot of
It's
people.
weird. No, I mean, we had the holiday season here in Israel. You know, the Jewish holidays, the which you are very familiar with as well. But in Israel, obviously, it's a bigger thing. So, and that was at peak lockdown, like Passover, like the biggest kind of pretty much holiday, and that was like the ultimate lockdown kind of time here, and it was very weird, very weird. Yeah, and a lot of people are very lonely and depressed because of that, because it's the time that they're supposed to be or can see their family, and because of travel restrictions, things like that, it becomes not possible. I remember with my mom, it was we actually thought, like me and my brother and my sister, like wow, that's like a real situation now. But in any case, I want to say to everyone who's with us right now from all over the world, including some places in the US, that we are so happy that you're with us. And we want to thank you for being with us. And you know what? We are here, Seth, I would say, for all of those who, for whatever reason, maybe even if they are celebrating Thanksgiving, they can't be with family now for whatever reason. We are here, guys. Welcome to the Great Transition, everybody. And if you new here, if you're new here, if you're watching this for the first time, welcome to the Great Transition as well. If you're noticing that the world is going through a weird time, everyone's noticing it. But if you're feeling that there's a bigger reason why this is happening, if you understand somewhere deep down in your heart that there has to be a huge transformation that we're all going through, all of us as a global society, we want to tell you that's exactly what's happening. And that's what we're exploring here in the Great Transition. We're looking at how we can put the pieces together, see the big picture, and look at how we are one beyond all differences: politics, religion, culture, what have you. Welcome to the Great Transition, everybody. Seth,
Yes, sir.
uh, can I throw at you what I've been? You know that I've been wanting to talk about this for two days now, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah, you
get
got
into
me
that.
fired up after that intro.
Okay, okay. I hope I got everyone else fired up as well. We got people here from, I'm already seeing, from Utah. Hello, from Finland. We have, I saw Quebec. We have our usual suspects. Egypt is here in the house. Bergen, Norway, Oregon. So that's just great, you guys. Anyone who's tuning in right now, tell us where you're watching from. At some point in the show, we do our global check to get a feel for all of this global connection happening here. Okay, Seth, here's the deal. Here is the deal. We've titled this broadcast, Even the Human Body is Changing in 2020, right? So check this out. Can you see this? Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right, cool, cool. So there's something weird going on right now. Scientists from Australia are calling this microevolution or rapid evolution, and basically, well, see the headline. Rapid evolution means humans now being born without wisdom teeth. Now, it's not just that. Check out another relevant headline. More humans born with an extra artery as part of microevolution phenomenon. So here's the deal. Here's
Hmm.
what's happening, right? Australian scientists are finding out that our bodies did not finish evolving. They are still evolving, and they're finding interesting proof for that. We're seeing more and more babies that are born with an additional artery in their forearm. We're
For
seeing
texting,
I guess what other evolutionary
faster
purpose
text thumb.
can justify that? Yeah. But it's not just
Okay.
that, it's also smaller faces. They're seeing, they measure it with like, rigorous measurements and all that. Smaller faces, smaller jaws.
So that they fit on the phone when you're in
So you can
profile mode.
you can do more people can do a group selfie together. But now with COVID, it's already, you need to kind of, maybe we'll evolve a mask as
We
well around
evolved
our
so that you could have
faces.
more faces on the Zoom screen.
More faces on the Zoom screen. But it's weird stuff though. It's more bones in the legs typically.
Oh,
Small bones that are appearing.
interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting because it's definitely happening. They're saying that the prevalence was about 10% of some of these things showing up in the
Hmm.
um, in the 1880s, right? And now from the late 20th century, we're looking at 30% of these things appearing. So it's also there, according to their calculation, this is, if you take the last 250 years, we have never been our bodies have never been developing so fast
Mm-hmm.
as they are
Right.
right now. So there is
Everything
definitely,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah. Everything happens like all these developments in nature happen gradually until they hit like a measure, and then it kind of like jumps like
Mm.
different between degrees.
Yeah, so that acceleration that happens before the jump is
Yeah.
kind of what we're seeing right now
Oh,
on the
nice.
bodily level. That's a really, it's a, I look at it and the first thing that I think about it is, how cool is that we are probably the only conscious species that are right now at the first time in history that we, the only conscious species, for the first time in history, are able to observe our own evolution, not just to theorize it, but to actually see it. I think that has to have like a really kind of a impactful, effect on our
There is a
consciousness.
fish. There's a fish. You know how fish swim like, vertically like this? There is some fish. I don't know if it's called a flounder or what it is. Somehow, like through evolution, it like smushed to the bottom, so it like lives
Mm.
on the bottom like that. But it still has. It looks like a Picasso. Both eyes, like they just took the whole face and like smushed it to the top.
Mm.
So you see, you know
I
what
I
fish I'm
think,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
I
think it's
think
a flounder.
I've seen that one.
So there
It's a
there are
funny one,
changes
man.
that
There are such funny fish out there.
this one, but it was like some kind
Yeah.
of evolutionary thing where like it just shifted his whole face onto the other side of
Hmm.
his head. So there's certain things of like frogs that their feet get stickier, to to, I guess, yeah, there it is. It just kind of pushed the whole face like up onto the top of him. Yeah, so he lives on the bottom. Thanks, Chris. Um, anyway, there are changes that happen, but that's common, like a bat can learn to see in the dark and through sonar and all that kind of stuff. But what what is what is going on here that's different than just the fish's eye moving up onto the side of his head as he goes to the bottom? How
Yeah,
how are you relating it to the spiritual
yeah,
development or
that's
to
that's
the great
exactly the point.
transition?
That's exactly the point. I'm looking at these findings and I'm seeing, wow, this is just a reflection. This is just a symptom of a much deeper underlying evolution that we are going through. You know what I mean? The reality that we see through our five senses, the physical reality that we put so much, science into investigating and collecting data and analyzing it and all that. With all the respect for it, and I do have respect for science, but all that it's doing is analyzing a fragment of reality, the fragment that we refer to as the physical world. And what we're actually seeing here is only the physical effect of a deeper spiritual evolution that we're going through. Meaning that we as human beings are moving and changing on a deeper, or evolving and changing on a deeper level. And as a result, the biological level also is sort of shocked, it fluctuates according to a certain frequency that is driven from a deeper frequency. And we can talk about what that deeper frequency is, but I think that's the first thing that I'm seeing when I'm looking at that. It's fascinating to me that we are right now watching our own evolution, that that's a unique conscious experience that we're having now as human beings. We're like actually seeing that, wow, we are evolving. And and uh and I'm saying that this is what we're seeing on the outside is just the symptoms. It's just, the little kind of superficial effects of a much deeper transformation that we're going through. The real evolution is human desire. That's what's happening. Human desires are evolving. The Anyway,
We
I'll
always
I'll,
talk
I'll,
about that.
I'll
No, no,
stop
no.
here.
It's
Yeah.
exactly. We always talk about that, right? If we woke up and we just wanted to eat and survive, have a shelter, procreate, so that would be the end of it. But we wake up, and it's like, I need I need a string of lights that goes around my bedroom that I can control without getting out of my bed, that can change colors. And then I want to be able to order some. I want to be able to, I don't want to go hunt. I want to order something and I want it to arrive at my house, tomorrow. And not only that, um, what if I could just everything? I mean, it's the opposite of our desire is the opposite of really an animal desire, which kind of it stays. Our desire is basically endless. I mean, we're constantly endlessly empty. So you're now saying that endless desire is somehow related to losing our wisdom teeth and an extra vein in the hand?
Oh, let's get in there. I see David Mancini here is asking a relevant question. Let's go in there from his question. He
Okay.
says, yeah, but why is human desire changing? I think that's a very good question. That's a very good question. Human desires are changing because they are moving and evolving. They're changing gradually their shape and their magnitude according to a predetermined purpose. And that predetermined purpose is that all of these 8 billion different separated, each one in its own kind of shape and style and magnitude, all of those 8 billion separated human desires, let's think about it like that, they are gradually moving towards each other. And on the one hand, they are interlocking, like think of many different, cogwheels that are like finding their clasping onto each other, interlocking into a single system. That's what's happening in terms of our desires. And but on the other hand, that's just moving. That's just happening without even without our consciousness. But on the other hand, they're starting to feel that this interlocking is not working well, that there's some conscious addition to this evolution of desire that needs to happen, that we need to somehow learn how to spin those desires together, how to connect them in a way that the whole machine works, that the whole system works. And so because we
Yeah, hold
are,
on. Let
yeah,
me tweak it a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
because
yeah,
the way you presented it was like
yeah,
it's
help me out.
happening, but we're not doing it well, and that's why. And I would say I feel you, but I would use a little bit different language
Go for it.
because because really there's no kind of free will, kind of. There's really like the system is making this thing happen. The our We're not really screwing anything up because against I want to talk to you about this vision of the universe that these scientists are working on. We'll talk about it in a minute, but we're in a system that's developing in a certain way, right? So we can't. What are we? I mean, you know what the expanse of the universe is, how big it is. What are we against the power of nature? What we're going to fight against? We're going to screw up nature. Me in this guy in New Jersey is going to screw up nature. It's too
Mm-hmm.
no. It's I don't think it's the right language. I think what it is either we agree with what's happening and move with it, or we don't agree with the plan. And us not agreeing with the plan, that's what feels like the wars. That's what feels like. But I don't. I just. It's the right thing to say. But I think for our audience for us to clarify it, I wouldn't even say like we're making a mistake because
No, no,
I just think it's the wrong
I'm not saying
frame.
we're making a mistake. I'm saying there is a natural evolution that is happening. That evolution is making human desires more interdependent. That's what's happening. We are, and on the
Oh no,
face
here's what
of
I'm saying.
it,
I would say they are
yeah.
already dependent. They're already connected.
Mm-hmm.
But what's happening is we are becoming aware of it more and more and on all of these degrees.
That's that's another way of saying the same thing. That's another way of saying the same thing. It depends on how you want to look at it. The What I'm trying to do is let's differentiate between what's happening inside, the inner driving forces, the inner workings of humanity, of human desire and human evolution, and what we see on the outside. So if you we just said that we claimed that the biological developments that we're now seeing, that scientists refer to as microevolution or rapid evolution in human beings, is just a fraction, is just an aspect of a deeper process. I stand behind that, and I'm saying that everything in human history and everything all in human sociology, in our social evolution that you can see with your eyes and feel with your five senses, changes of regimes, changes of politics, changes of economic structures, and everything else, all of that too are just consequences. They are outcomes. They are like,
Mm.
the puppets on strings that are filling the theater with everything you're seeing. But what's driving the puppets? What is driving the show? Who's writing the script? Who's directing the plot? And that is the evolution of human desires. And what's happening is these desires are being pushed to work together, to find a way to lock into each
Within our
other
within our consciousness,
as a
within our
re-
feelings.
and as a
Because like you
result,
said,
yeah,
no other creature feels his evolution, right? They just go
yeah,
along unconsciously.
yeah. So the whole thing, well, that again
Hold on,
for
hold
the
on, hold on. Hold on. Here's something
okay,
cool.
go
The
ahead.
whole
Yeah.
thing is just for us to be able to evolve in order to feel the unity of creation. That's the whole game. Like
Yes.
the matter has been evolving. It evolved from a fish to a monkey. And each time, okay, I want food. Okay, I need a shelter. Okay, I want to take a mate. Okay, I want to build a house. Okay, I want to, until it starts to piece together himself, herself inside his own emotions and consciousness, the reality that this piece of matter actually exists inside of.
And if you don't take what you said into account and you just look at these biological microevolutionary findings, then you say, why I don't, why do we need another artery in our forearm? Why do we don't need wisdom teeth? So you'll go and you'll try to make all kinds of biological explanations or excuses for why this is happening. But what you're doing is you're analyzing only part of the picture, only a very fragmented part of the picture, which is something you can do, and you can find some answers, but you're not actually seeing the program and the process and where it's going. And let's be bold here and say something like this: if we did saw where it's going, which is what you've been discussing, meaning that nature is pushing, just like it's pushing all of nature, it's pushing humanity to a greater level of unity, a greater level of connection, a greater level of conscious
So
oneness.
I'm with you, but I
With
just want to keep coming from, you know how you can only see three dimensions with two eyes. So I just want to keep saying
Yeah.
the same thing in a different language. I want to look at exactly the same story, but with a different language. You're saying it's pushing us, right? Because that's our emotional experience. I want to just look at the same thing from a different angle and say that it's happening. We're just through our physical evolution by our look at a brain, everybody, after the show, go look at the skull of a monkey, and then go look at the skull of a human, and which parts of the brain start to develop, and how the whole nervous system develops, and how we become speaking, right? That's really what differentiates us from the monkeys, really, is our speaking. So then we can start to measure what is happening to me. Where am I? What are these feelings I'm having? Right? A monkey wakes up in the morning, he feels empty inside. So he just goes, rah, then he goes and like eats a baby chimpanzee or whatever he does. We wake up in the morning, we feel empty inside. I'm like, who can I blame? What's going on? What's this? What am I? What do I do about it? How do I fix? So I just want to keep looking at what you say from this other kind of, you're talking about it kind of from below up, and I want to talk about it kind of from above down, and let's meet somewhere in the middle.
Okay. I think maybe it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think actually based on my description just now, it's the opposite. But
but okay, but I was gonna say we're seeing just a fragmented reality when we're looking at these microevolutions, right? And we're trying to understand them. I'm saying we need to look at the whole picture. The whole picture is that humans are evolving not just in their bodies. The bodies, what we're seeing in our bodies is, I would argue, the lowest aspect of the evolutionary process. It's the superficial layer of it. The core of it is our interior life, our interior existence, our inner life is what our inner essence, our inner being is what's evolving. That's what's actually happening. Everything else that we see affecting the human network in a big way, such as COVID, right? All of those too, they are also external effects, side effects sometimes, ramifications of deeper processes that happen in the evolution of consciousness. back to your perspective, which you're pushing to look at it, to look at everything from the perspective of the evolution of consciousness. You're saying everything is already, we're already connected. What's happening is that we are gradually recognizing it, right?
And the
That
point, right, and the point of that, and the point of where we are right now, did I just cut you off? Were you just
no, no,
in
no, no. Go ahead,
midstream?
go ahead,
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
the point of that is that if we, because there's some, like everything, there's some that are already ahead of us, and if those ones who've already gone through this process and are already there, we can already learn what is the, because as you said earlier, the physical evolution is like the last, is like the result of realizing what's happening in consciousness. So if we can already begin to understand where we're going,
Mm-hmm.
and we can already start to travel there, travel through time and space in our consciousness, we don't have to wait then for that consciousness to cascade all the way down into this flesh and to go through every single change until eventually, for example, there's no more black people and white people. It all becomes, maybe even one androgynous, no colored creature. Like, at some point, everything would become some kind of unity because everything is, I don't know if everyone would turn into one person again. I don't know. But the idea is like for
Well,
sure, color would start to change on people
if first of all, if you look at humans today, humans 1,000 years ago, humans 2,000 years ago, humans 10,000 years ago, we know. Ask paleontologists and doctors and people who deal with the human skeleton and all that. They'll tell you we've been changing and we've been becoming, more similar. There are changes that have happened that have made us the kind of human beings in the physical shape that we have today. And it is, we're similar in the way that we change. We're changing into some similar form. Now, we got a question here that said, okay, so, and I think it's just exactly relevant. It was, okay, so why is our physical body changing? What's the purpose of that? Why does it need to change? Right? Why do we need to see changes in the human body? So my answer, yeah,
specifically, go ahead. No, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Oh, you go
if you
ahead.
no, if you have
So
a
I'll say it
prelude to
through
the,
my vision. You say it through your vision,
go
and
for
through
it.
those two. Okay. So what I was saying was,
But let's
it
try to
really does.
answer it though. Let's try to answer
Oh,
it. Yeah.
the
Hmm.
and answer the question too.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm kidding. So what's the question?
Why
Oh,
do
what is
our
the?
physical bodies change? Why do they need to be changing?
Okay, so what I'm saying is, if we go through this great transition, if we uh, make our conscious spiritual uh, development, if we hasten that, we don't need to. It's not relevant, it's to us even what happens, because we'll start to perceive ourselves outside of our bodies. We won't be, right now we perceive, my sense of self is, it's just fully based on my protein body, right? This is me. This is Seth. This is who eats. This is who feels. This is who goes to sleep. And then this guy will die at some point, and that's my life. Oh, he was a great guy. He once had a show with the Soph. Yeah, yeah, that was Seth. You know, I'm saying that we now, through the virus and all these changes that we're going through now, we're able to hasten our inner process. And it doesn't all have to wait this long, long period until humans come together, that to this colorless, androgynous, unified creature manifest. Like the point. Okay, tell me your perspective.
Why do the
But I
bodies change? What?
Okay.
What?
No, I woke up with a splitting headache today,
I
so
know. Do you know? Do you
I'm
think
still
it's a
reeling a
good?
little bit.
Do you think it's a good moment to tell everybody that you might be having COVID, or you want to keep it a secret?
Now
Because
let's wait and
because
see if it is, or if
because
these
if you
sweats are just from.
because if you want to keep it a secret, I can just not mention it.
Yeah, don't
And
mention it and let's see what
okay,
happens
so
after. I'm
let's
getting
not
tested Monday morning.
so
Yeah.
let's not talk about it. So why is the body changing? I would say this. My answer to this would be this: that the reality is complete. It's a complete structure. Um, Unlike in in our perception, from nature's perspective, everything has a purpose, everything has a reason, everything has a function, everything is a piece of the puzzle, and the puzzle has many different pieces, and reality has many different layers, and the human being has many different levels of complexity that create that entity we call a human. All of them are changing. If you think all you're seeing is biology and some appearance of another artery in 30% more of the babies, you're looking at a fragment of reality. Our bodies are changing, in other words, because they only reflect a change of the entire system of the human being. The human being, throughout all of that degree of nature called human, is now changing. This is also why they're finding, I would say, that this is happening fast, that time itself is speeding up. They're saying that what they're seeing now happening, these changes, these microevolutions in the human body, we are changing faster than we've ever changed in the last 250 years. Why are they seeing that? Because humanity in general is now changing in every other respect. You can see it as well. You can see it in how we produce information, how we consume information. I mean, how we produce everything in terms of the development of industry, the development of technology. There's been a spike that's going like this, an exponential curve in pretty much the development of everything, from
In human
technology
consciousness and the
to
cost of a Bitcoin. I'm just kidding.
yeah, but so everything,
And Jeff Bezos's net worth.
everything is changing faster than it changed before. And as we're moving, I would say the next decade will include more changes than the last century.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
That's
even in the next year
and
to two, we will see
look at
so much in the next 24
exactly.
months. Wow.
This is
All of
going
our
to be
all of your friends who are ready for like some big of yeah, get ready.
roller coaster,
Uh,
baby. It's gonna be a roller
seriously,
coaster,
seriously.
and this is where it gets dangerous on the one hand and adventurous on the other hand. Because if we human beings are ready for the roller coaster, it's a great ride. But if you're not ready and you're thrown into a roller coaster, ooh, that's a bad experience. That's a bad experience. You might go, who the hell put me here? Let me out, let me off. I would, and then you can start being violent and you
Or
can start being,
or
yeah.
that same exact feeling makes you say, "What is going on in my life? Should I spend my whole life just s- sitting in rush hour traffic? Should I spend my whole
Uh-huh.
life just working all day and then watching TV and then dying with 2 weeks of vacation? What is my life? What is this? Are these relationships? This is it. This is what it's all about. So these feelings that we have, everyone, it's on purpose. It's part of the plan. It's part of the system. It's nothing wrong with it. If we felt totally okay with everything, we would just continue. If everything calmed right down and everyone just went back to, we would just go right back to our animal existence again.
Yeah.
Asaf, there's a bunch of
There
questions.
are
Let's
some
let's
good questions, man. There are some good questions I see. I mean, I can't keep track of everything in the chat, but I'm seeing, like, noticing here and there some good things, and Chris is sending some stuff at us. So I see. Take this one, bro. Here's an interesting one. Yetzi is asking, do you think we will evolve to telepathy? Oh man, there's a lot we can say on that. Go ahead, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yes. I don't know what telepathy is specifically besides communicating with thoughts, but
First
that
of
is
all, Seth said yes. You heard it. You heard it first here on the Great Transition.
but what I
Human
want to say is
beings
that
human beings will
that
evolve to telepathy.
what I want to say is the same thing as I was saying before. Yeah, you just mark that, right? What I want to say is the same thing as before. We're already telepathically connected, and that's why we have the COVID virus, and that's why we have disgusting politicians, and that's why we have disgusting school system, and that's why we have disgusting medical system, and that's why we have just everything completely broken because everything is we're completely telepathic and everybody thinks only about themselves and everybody is out to profit off of everyone else in our thoughts, which come from our desires. And we're projecting that into the system. And therefore, we perceive a horrible broken life. So, Bikitsu, in short, yes, we have evolved to telepathy. Now, where we want to get to, the magic, all we're doing together here in the great transition in the wisdom of Kabbalah is we're just discovering the laws of nature that exist and learning how to work with them in order to have a good life. In order to, so once we understand this, that thoughts are the most powerful. I mean, listen, we don't even, it's not even time to get into what it means on our degree compared to the inanimate degree, like how much power we have in our thoughts. It's beyond anything. It's beyond nuclear. It's beyond anything that what we're able to do with our thoughts. Now, here's the trick. We need some really good people on TikTok or I don't know, Instagram or however you influence people to start getting everyone thinking good thoughts about each other. And everyone will start to pick up on it in the network. You can see this, you can feel this, Jetsy. If you start paying attention in your life, you'll understand. You may read something um, unbelievable by somebody. It's the greatest thing you ever read in your life. If there's not kind of a public opinion around it, if there's not some kind of vibe, you could have heard the best song ever, nobody will pay attention. But if there's already a crowd around it, if there's already a buzz around it, then people will be into it and people will, you'll feel it's electric. That's why you feel when there's a certain kind of song or something like that, that everyone knows it has something in the air versus you found something that's amazing, but nobody knows about it. So the ripple just kind of just like, even if it's great, if it's a big wave, it just kind of dies right away. So we need to be able to project the good. We already know telepathy is working. It's working, right? We need to now, what are we going to be telepathying? What are we going to be sending to each other?
Telepathizing.
Telepathizing. Yeah.
No, I want to add something onto this
Go ahead.
because first of all, I think it's such a cool concept, telepathy. I gotta say that it brings out the child in me. As a kid, I always thought telepathy is so cool. Just that as a the childish kind of depiction of that,
Mm-hmm.
like that I can tell you things when but the whole thing is, why do you think that it's cool as a child? Why do
You
you
can
think?
control stuff.
Because you can. No, that's telekinesis, like
Oh,
moving things with your thought. I'm
you could
talking
tell
about
if that
just.
girl was thinking about you, I guess. I don't know why.
But that's mind reading. Dude, you
I
get
don't I don't know the answer, Saf. Okay, I
you
don't know.
have
All
to.
right, just
No,
tell
you
me.
have to put your special for your super forces, supernatural qualities in check here.
I don't,
We got to organize them, we got to classify
okay.
them. No, I think it's funny because we think of telepathy in this childish kind of a way where it's like, I'll be able to uh, tell Seth something while others can't hear. But today you have WhatsApp and you can text your friends without anyone else seeing, besides Facebook, of course, and the algorithms and all that. But you can pretty much do that without even opening your mouth already. So is that telepathy? You know what I mean? Um, so let's just give another definition to this, another aspect to this answer. We're gonna find the kind of telepathy that we're going to develop as human beings is that we're going to find the frequency of connection that between us that all of nature already has. We're going to consciously experience how it's like to be in a shared intention, in a shared desire, in a shared sense of the natural system. See, when birds fly together in a flock, when hundreds of birds fly together in a flock, they don't communicate to plan to, one bird tells the other bird, hey, I'm going to take a right now, you're going to take a left. We're going to do this V shape. It's going to be real cool. It's going to be really cool. You got to, but be accurate. Hey, everyone stand in line. It doesn't work that way. They don't have time for that. They share a single harmony, a single synchrony, a single frequency that comes to them from the mind of nature, from nature itself. And that, there you go. This is so these starlings, or these, the birds, or whatever kind of birds that are doing these amazing maneuvers together, there's absolutely no way for them to do this by communicating in the way that we think of communication. We're going to discover a different frequency of communication, which, if you want, you can call it telepathic. But what it is really, it's just the binding force, by the binding law that ties all of nature together. We're part of nature too. We're going to discover it because we're part of nature too. It's that simple. Anyway,
I want to try and answer like five questions at once.
yeah,
I
let's
see.
answer more questions. The good
Okay,
questions
so
today.
Bilal Khan is from Turkey, is asking about what is Kabbalah. Francine is coming back to anomalies. I'm not sure what that means exactly. Are we missing that force? There was a couple other questions here. Um, so here's thinking about those birds there and thinking about how it relates to us. Okay, there's too many details for me to consider each and every single human being and how I can move in harmony,
Exactly.
because we're not going to fly like birds. Birds have got a simple
No,
life,
no,
right? We're
no, no,
going to
no.
eat
Thank you.
worms.
Translate the bird's metaphor to human society, please. Thank you.
Okay. So birds, and this all comes from the unbelievable Kabbalist Bala Sulam and the writings of the last generation, where he talks about how humanity is going to organize. Like he lays out, like you take the whole structure of the
hey,
upper worlds in a
hey,
language.
Chris, if you can, our producer, our all-seeing and invisible producer. He also, you see, he has supernatural forces. Chris, if you can pull up like just a stinger, from a Baal Sulam quote that talks about this, this would be amazing. I don't know if you have the time to do this now, but if you can, it'd be good. So keep going, man. Just go ahead.
Okay, so birds, it's a pretty simple life. Okay, for us, there's way too many details, right? Like I like my coffee with like mostly I like it black. Sometimes I like a little milk. You like an instant coffee like that. Like just coffee, we're different, right? Like every bird, he's just like, well, let's get a worm. That's it. Each of us has so many details. It would be impossible to synchronize with everyone and find out what everyone needs. So how does it work on the human level? Here's what the great transition is about. Here's what we're talking about, even from earlier in the show. We rise in our consciousness to another level. We rise in our consciousness to another field where we're like those birds. We're to that connection, to that to the telepathy, like Yetzi was asking about. In that we already exist in that. If we rise up to that, we're connected. You have to release yourself a little bit from just relating to your body. Okay, keep your body, have your coffee however you like it, have your family, do everything, but also release yourself from that for a minute and imagine that there's a network of connection above that. So when we enter into that magic of connection, the other things that happen down here will arrange themselves naturally. You won't have to understand every single detail of how a car works in order to drive it. You're already like above that system. You can just enter that system and use that system.
There's more questions here. I don't know which one to choose. I glanced at the chat and I saw a couple that were interesting. So do you see something that you think is
Mm.
right on the money here? Um, while you
Oh, so
find,
just let me tell
yeah.
just 1 sec. So Bilal Khan from Turkey, what is the wisdom of Kabbalah? What's the purpose behind it? How do we learn it? So in short, that was it right there. That we live in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we discover the second world that we live in. We remain in our bodies on purpose as a desire. The desire grows until we want more than just what animals want. Once we have that desire that wants more than what animals want, it forces us, it pushes us to discover this other network, this other world that we enter while we live in our bodies. How do we do it? How do we learn it? Chris, maybe you could put a link for Kabu. We have a free self-study course. If you're into that, you can come here twice a week, 2 p.m. Thursday and Sunday Eastern, where we talk about the wisdom of Kabbalah, but through the lens of what we see outside of us in this world.
Yeah, this is also why we can't solve anything in our world, and we're going to be seeing this more and more, you guys. This is why the whole left and right political game is just becoming ridiculous with over time. Of course, we get passionate and aggravated about it, and we fight, and it's a divisive game, very divisive game. But at the end of the day, it does not solve our problems. It doesn't, and it won't, because the solution to our problem lies in connecting to each other on a new level. We need to connect to each other and find that natural frequency that will organize us, that will allow us to dance like the birds, but in human society, which means to reorganize ourselves around the planet in a way that works for everybody. We can do that, but that's a utopia if you think about, just people suddenly getting along. Of course, that's utopian and it's unrealistic. But if you think about human evolution, which is what we're talking about today, then of course it makes sense. How the heck did cells become a multicellular organism? How did that happen? How did they start figuring out that they can share responsibilities and divide their and use their resources in a new way to create a body, to create a multicellular organism? That happened because it was the next degree of their evolution. Same is happening with humanity. But the evolution is happening mostly on the conscious level, on the level of desires, thoughts, intentions. This is where we're truly developing. And what we see on the biological level is, hey, maybe it will be nice. We'll see nice things. Another artery. Maybe Seth will finally have his sixth finger he was, thinking about for a long
Guitar.
time. He had an idea of how to play Led Zeppelin with six fingers. But no, you guys, this is these findings of microevolution that we started the today's episode with. This is it's I'm delighted to see this, just because it's human beings beginning to recognize that the key lies in our evolution. We ourselves are evolving. Now we need to go deeper and understand what is our conscious part that we play in this evolution. That's the unique thing about human beings. We're not just pushed by instincts. Oh, here's the grass is better here. I should go there. It's winter now. I need to find something to protect myself, which is what animals do. We go through our lives thinking, contemplating who we are and what we are. Every person connected to this show right now, and all of the 7 billion minus 100 who are not, 8 billion people minus 100 who are not with us live right now. Everyone has this thought about what is going on in this reality. Who am I? What am I? What is this life really about? If you're a human being, at some point in life, typically when you're 5 or 6 year old, you ask yourself, what's going on here? Why is that? Because that is the initial embryonic stage of our next level of evolution. And the only way for us to develop it is to consciously focus on it together.
We see
That's,
that
yeah, go ahead.
nature reacts to unity no matter what. You see the mafia, for example. It's like they'll kill for each other. It's like such a tight brotherhood. You see it around at big sporting events. You see it at concerts. There is something built into nature that reacts to unity and gives an invincibility, in a sense, around unity. That's why, like, you see like great sports players or like mafia and stuff like that. Like these guys, it's almost like they're dodging bullets and stuff. Like the greatest ones who are like the most invested into it, they take on this kind of superhuman power in a sense, because there is something in unity. There's something that happens when you basically you get more power than just your own power. Like, right, each person gets like a tiny spark, but if you put a bunch of them together, you get this big flame. You can participate in that. Now, if it's not aimed in the right way, so then it eventually dies out. But the law of nature exists there. How to sustain that law of nature and how to aim it, that's other laws of nature. Asaf, let's talk about who's with us. Let's mention everyone who's here.
Yes, yes.
Even though we have a holiday in the United States, we have tons of friends here from
Yeah,
even
tons
from
of people
all
today.
around the world. Wow, I see it from
Yeah,
India. I see even Mike Vermeulen. You remember Mike Vermeulen
of
from
course.
somewhere up in
I
Canada,
do. In
musician.
Winnipeg. Winnipeg.
Um,
Winnipeg. They're from Winnipeg, right?
Amazing, talented musician. Was
Yes.
studying with us in the past. Mike,
Yes.
I don't know in the next 4 minutes if we'll get to your question, but I see you asked on Facebook. Really good to see you, man.
Oh, great.
Okay, so
Hey, brother.
um, Mexico. Hello, everybody in Mexico. So let's, as we always do, think about all of these friends. Let's think good for all that is, just as we want good for ourselves, we want good for all of these people who are with us. Mexico, Bangalore, Poland, Quebec, Minnesota, South Africa, Northern California, the UK, Salt Lake City, Tenerife, Colorado, Finland, Houston, Texas, Old Fort, North Carolina, Bergen, Norway, Puerto Rico, Utah, Brazil, Washington, San Francisco, Saskatoon, Netherlands, Cairo, Egypt. Hey, Heiko, Hala,
Kiko.
Kiko, Brooklyn, Ohio, Portland, Oregon, California. Is that you, Deb? California, Georgia, England, Toronto, Florida, Turkey, and Plymouth, Massachusetts. Wow. Amazing. Thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. What is
All
this,
right, there
Chris?
you go. That's a roll. That's I think Chris just found the two possibilities in which you can go through a roller
Oh,
coaster
through
there.
a roller
Right,
coaster, right? Oh, that's
right.
funny.
I want to say one last thing. It's a little rant, okay? So, and
Yeah,
it'll
let's
probably be
go.
our last rant for today. First of all, we had so many great questions here that I think
Yeah, wow.
we are missing out on. We If we
I
answer
know.
them, we will truly develop this conversation. So let's do something with these questions. What's the best way? What's the best
Oh,
way
just
for
just let
for
let's just throw them back into the dirt and let it be fertilizer. But everyone today, the questions were like, really, you
Mhm.
really pushed us. You really, Chris is feeding everything. Denise is in there feeding everything. Sushi Smita, awesome question. I think it's impossible in 2 minutes to get to it. But yes, everybody, thank you for being so active and engaged with us today.
in the conversation? Yes, the I do think that maybe just throw these questions if they're important to you and you want us to
Oh yeah,
go
yeah.
go
Twitter.
ahead. Throw them on Twitter. I see two ways actually, and sorry to be confusing for saying more than one call to action, but you can, if you're a Twitter guy or gal, go to Twitter, and the handle is at
Posted.
TGT underscore pod. Chris, if you can throw that into the YouTube chat, that'll be great. So that's the Twitter handle. But if you're really not into to Twitter, then maybe just throw it on a comment in the under the video on this video, and we'll make sure that
You mean after
we'll
the broadcast?
yes. So not in this chat, but in the comments section under this video. That way we definitely will see it, and this way we can take a look at it. Okay. Uh, Last rant. A lot of people are sometimes watching our conversation or even joining our conversation and are asking, everything's happening. So much, so much horrible stuff is happening with the world today, and how can we? How does this help us to reach actual solutions? How do we get to actually solving the problems that the world is encountering? And I'll just say something very short, that the the biggest problem that we have is if we are if we lose sight of us being part of nature. The greatest Kabbalist of the previous century, Bara Sulam, calls this trying to correct the world by ourselves. He calls people who engage in that actively, he calls them world reformers, but quote unquote, meaning they're trying to reform the world without understanding where the world is going. They're trying to fix all kinds of things. And it's really important for us to communicate this, I feel. Everything that people are trying to do today, the activists community, wherever they are in the world, the good people who are trying to reduce corruption in politics, corruption in capitalism, corruption, to make things better. That's not a bad thing to do, sure, but we got to understand that we can't just be putting band-aids. We have to actually change ourselves. The human being needs to change. Going back to the topic of this show, we are going through evolution. We ourselves have to become different humans at the end of this evolutionary process. That's what we call the great transition is really about. Therefore, when we come here and dedicate an hour to this conversation, we're doing more than just talking about these things. We're making subtle, we're aiming, we're wanting, we're aspiring to make subtle movements, changes in the way that we want and think and desire and intend. And these are the true driving forces of human evolution. We are aiming ourselves, our minds and hearts, to participate in the evolutionary process in a positive way. And that is what will save more suffering and more trouble and more band-aiding and problem fixing that we try to do with our hands and legs. So we love you all. Thank you for being with us. And we'll be here on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Seth, you got something to lift us up or to...
I'm trying, but I think I'm having some kind of issue for a second. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see if I do. Okay, here we go.
You got something? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will be here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Great Transition channel if you want to be notified whenever we have a new show, a new clip, new everything. That's where we are. Go to the Great Transition channel and subscribe. We'll see you next show, Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Thank you, everybody. Lots of love. Big hugs. See you on Thursday.
We want you to know that you make our hearts sing. You do. And we need you to know this connection got us falling. You do. We come to tell you of the future. We spend our days doing good to others, and we all come to be as one. We wanna know, do we make your heart sing? We do. We wanna know if we can sing this love song to you. We want you to know that you make our heart sing. You do. And we need you to know we sing this song to bring joy to you. We are living in a world of love. We are singing all in one song of love. The reason for living is to